Hey everybody, just want to share this quick thought I had. If you can use it, use it. If not, just hit that delete button. But I often have heard throughout my life that, people, especially in, I don't know what kind of relationship they will have, but in several different types of relationships, people will say, oh, you were a godsend, or you were the answer to my prayers. I know when Rashonda and I talk about, and this woman just pushed the dog out of her daughter. What a way to start the day. Okay. When people ask us about when we were, how did we get together? How did we meet? How did we start dating? How did we know we wanted to marry each other? We, in our own way, tend to say that the beginning of our relationship started before we even met. It started with a prayer for someone who would ABCD, or somebody whom we could ABCD with, grow with, develop with. So it started with a prayer. Now, as I can only speak from my perspective, as I told Rashonda that she was what I prayed for, that means she was an answer from God to my prayer. And in her own way, she kind of conveyed the same to me. The thought was, when someone views you in whatever capacity as an answer to their prayer, be mindful that you don't develop an air of pride or arrogance to the point where you start to act like you're a god. Right? If they view you as an answer to their prayer, remain just that, an answer, a method of help, a particular partner to bring them to resolution of a particular challenge or issue, someone that helps them solve a problem. Make sure you don't get to the point where you think you are the creator of that person, or you're God, you created yourself as the answer, so they need to listen to everything you have to say. I've seen it in relationships in the church, outside of the church, on on sports teams, in working groups, where being the answer turns into the source of pride and arrogance. And then what eventually happens is, now you went from being the answer or a help to solve a challenge to becoming the challenge itself. So just remember, in all things, we can be assistants to help resolve issues in other people's lives, but at the same time, we need to make sure we're not just going to become a new problem or a new challenge for that person. Because once you become that, your usefulness in that person's life, and your value in that person's life, diminishes greatly. Because God's not going to put you in somebody's life. God's not going to put you in somebody's life to make their life worse. He's sending you to that person, or that person to you, to help them from his principles, not for your personal gain. So just remember, we want to remain Allen Iverson. We want to remain the answer and not try to make ourselves the creator, not try to become Lord over that person. All right? So love y'all. Want y'all to spend a couple of minutes with me. I know it's been a minute. And I'll be posting this when it's time to post it. But just remember that it happens to all of us. We think we become the answer. People boast our heads up, and then we start treating them in the same or similar manner as the challenge or issue they had previously, which we helped them out of. So it's very easy to happen. It happens subtly, and before we know it, years pass, and now we're the person that we were looking to rescue another person from. We're the challenge that we were looking to rescue or help that person navigate through. So it takes a measure of self-assessment. We have people who have done that to us. So has been the motto of my life is, if I've done something negative to someone else, and a situation comes back around where I can help someone get through that same scenario where someone else is treating them that way, I have to constantly self-assess to make sure, after that challenge has been overcome, that as our relationship continues, could be friendship, could be business relationship, I have to make sure I don't become the person that I was helping to overcome in another physical form in the future. So it all boils down to self-assessment and continuing to make sure that we are who we say we are who we preach we are who we coach we are who we manage we are, and just be open and accountable to self-assessing and saying, hey, we are starting to do the same thing that we're starting to become the same person that we helped this other person get away from, or find a solution to being able to overcome those challenges, because nobody's above becoming that person. And it takes work on all of our part to make sure that we do not become that person, right? Hurt people. And the whole people and the healthy people standing next to hurt people who have empathy for that hurt person can hurt people as well, just because of the empathy and the love that they have for that hurt person, right? So let's all just self-assess. Because there's too much random stuff going on. It's calculated, but from our perspective, if we're unaware, it's random, right? So let's just make sure we're focused on the main thing, which is building each other up, leaving people alone when we have nothing else to do with them, right? And just focusing on what we need to focus on. We all have missions to accomplish. And there's several different roads, right, to our missions. We have our individual road to our own mission. So if we spend a lot of time throwing rocks in other people's path, we're not moving. We're off our path, because we have to go off our path to go to their path, to put obstacles in their way, right? So we're off course anyway. So just focus on what you have to focus on, because there is a powerful mission for you if you focus on your path and get it accomplished. All right. Just recording this in love. Last thing I'll say is, there was a purpose for the pandemic paranoia, from the perspective of families growing closer, more focus on what really mattered. There was less messiness during the pandemic. But as you know, we kind of knew what was going to happen as the world tried to, quote unquote, go back to normal. Unfortunately, so have the majority of people. They've returned to being distracted by things that don't really matter. Everything that we held so close and dear because we never knew if it was going to be there the next day during the pandemic, now we don't hold it as close and as dear actively. We do in theory, but not actively. This morning, as I was leaving my neighborhood, went to the end of my road, took a left. There was a fire marshal and an ambulance in my neighborhood. Lights on, but it was silent. And they were working on somebody in the back of the ambulance in my neighborhood. We don't own the time. We don't know the minute nor the hour that our number is going to be called. And if your number was called during the night last night, what did you not repent of that you would have to be answering for this morning on the other side? So we don't have time to be doing little shady, crazy stuff, slick comments. And like I said, going on somebody else's path to drop boulders and rocks and pebbles and tacks and nails. We don't have time for that. Your mission is your mission. Focus on your mission, right? And get to where you need to be and let the Lord handle everything else. All right. So I love you all. I'm focused on my mission right now. I was awakened out of my sleep, could not go back to sleep. I was wondering why. It seemed like last night was one of the longest nights ever. But now I know, right? I had to formulate the thought. I had the message was there, but had to formulate the thought and the time to release it. So I'm recording this now to share it with you all. I love you all. Thank you to those who continue to reach out, my friends who continue to reach out and check on me. I pray I can get better at doing the same. It's no loss of love, but I pray I can get better at doing the same. All right. So love y'all. Have a great day. Have a blessed day. Hug on those near you. Send love to those far from you. And continue to focus on your mission, right? And self-assess. Not because I said so, but because in your spirit, you know it's the right thing to do. All right. Love y'all. Julius signing off, aka Good Deacon. See you when I randomly drop the next video. All right.